Hey folks, Killer Be Killed here, bringing you a Wizards tournament video of some gameplay. I played Nim Nams earlier today, using out my alternative Dream Puppets build. This first hand here you see I get, it's actually a very good draw. I have really no complaints about this hand. I mean, it could be better, but I got a Phantasm and a Crab, so I can potentially do some milling. And I know my opponent's a good player. He's on the Wizard forums. He's running tightly controlled decks, so. This first turn here, I don't cast a creature because he's playing black, and I'm not sure if it's Obedient Dead yet or Exalted. I had a suspicion he was playing Exalted because I think he's been playing that a little bit lately. But anyways, second turn he's casting out a lifelink card. That I want to get rid of that because I don't want him gaining life with this deck. But I didn't cast the Crab first turn because I just didn't want it to get hit with a Innocent Blood or a Fume Spitter or anything of that. Well, you can't really kill it with a Fume Spitter, but it's basically trying to avoid an Innocent Blood. I want that Crab to live, and now that I have an extra mana out there, I could actually protect it with the Unsummon card. So normally I would just cast it first turn. This time I decided to protect it a turn, just in case he was using Obedient Dead. Because as you'll see, that card is going to be crucial to my entire game plan. I want to build up my Phantasm to a 5/5, and I don't have a lot of mill in this deck. It's a control deck, so I have to be careful with the mill I do have. So I'm not worried about taking a few hits in the beginning of this game, but still, I don't want him gaining life. That's why I'm getting rid of the lifelink card. I don't want to have him getting up to 30, 40 life, and then I have to worry about him getting worship enchantments out there and stuff. I want his life to be manageable. So I'm just going to keep milling them, and at this point I'm not playing my Adept card to return his creature to his hand. I could play that, but I'd rather play this and keep mana open for an Unsummon. I'd rather get my creatures out there and be able to protect them. So I think that was a safer move. I'm on the cusp of getting 10 cards in his graveyard, another turn or so. So really I just want to get my flyer out there so that way it's actually ready to attack the turn I can use it as a 5/5. And again, I'm not worried about small amounts of damage early in the game. You have 20 life for a reason. You can get me down to 10, 6, whatever, just as long as I'm able to develop and get what I need out there. So again, that Unsummon card worked good for me because I made him recast his creature, it has Summoning Sickness, so it's just a lot of stall involved in this deck. And I'm almost there. And now the question is, do I cast the 2/2 blocker and return the card to his hand, or do I play the Phantasm? This was kind of the first decision I had to make. I cast that out there. Forgot to return his lifelink card. And I still have an Unsummon protecting mine. My creatures aren't a 5/5 yet, so kind of just going to let it go. Swing in for 1 damage because I'm not going to use him to block his Exalted Flyer because he'll just kill me. And especially not when I'm on the cusp of becoming a 5/5 with it. And again, I'm not casting this Phantasm because I want to save 1 mana for my Unsummon. I want to protect either the Crab or the Phantasm if he has a Doomblade or a Vindicate or anything of that nature. Not really worried about that card too much. It's giving him another Exalted creature. I just have to in the long run watch that. But at any point in the game, I know once I get my creatures to a 5/5, they can kill all those small creatures. I have to obviously win the game before he gets a massive army out there, but that's the overall plan. This is why I was returning his lifelink card, because this is where it could become a problem. He has 2 Exalted on the board, now he has a lifelink. That creature can swing in for 4 damage a turn, and it also gives him 4 life, so that's kind of want to avoid that. But now we see my creatures are 5/5s, so And I was debating whether or not I should swing with this, but then I decided, you know, if he wants to trade his 2/1 or his lifelink or, you know, his exalted creature, that trade works in my favor, definitely. So, definitely swing with that card. And note, I still have the unsummon. It's going to come in handy this turn. There we go. He's going to try to destroy my 5/5 flyer so he can swing. I'm going to unsummon it, which is going to allow him to swing unblocked, but in essence, I get my card back at least. I take a little damage, he gains a little life. At this point, doing a little math, he's swinging in for 4 damage and gaining 4 life, so that's +8 for him. So even if I'm swinging him for 7, I'm still losing this battle in the long run. So basically what I'm doing is sacrifice the crab, because he has 36 cards left in his library, and I don't need the crab anymore. It did its job. I'm not going to win this game by mill, certainly not. The way the game is flowing, sometimes you could. Now here I have a choice. Do I want to mind control one of his creatures? Maybe get rid of that lifelink that's boosting him up. But instead, I think the best bet here is simply to put in a 5/5 flyer. He only has 1 blocker for flyers. Can't kill me, and basically something he's going to have to deal with. He doesn't want to lose any of his creatures, so I know these 2 creatures can swing each turn, and I can hold 1 back to block. I am, of course, worried about removal, because there's 11 good removal spells in the Exalted deck, so I know at any time my 5/5, he could actually kill 2 of them in 1 turn with Doom Blades or whatnot, so I know he doesn't have a Doom Blade. He'd have to top deck it, because he wouldn't have used the Vindicate over a Doom Blade, just for the simple fact that, you know, he could use that to kill a sword or something later. He would have saved that if he had it, because it's a little more versatile, where Doom Blade just applies to a creature. And I'm actually glad I didn't mind control this creature, because he put an enchantment on it, which gives it protection from creatures. So now next turn, I'm actually going to snag that. I draw Visions of Beyond. Before I use the mind control, I take a look at his library. I didn't think he had 20 cards in there, but I wanted to make sure. So if he did have 20 cards, I might have thought about using that instead of the mind control. But where things stand now, I'm just going to take his lifelink creature. The enchantment comes with it, so I do have protection from creatures on that now. But this game is just about over. He can't really deal with the flyers. I had a good draw this game. I was able to get out some early mill. If you can get 10 cards in the graveyard quickly with this deck, then you have a lot of stall control to combat their cards, and you're getting 5/5 flyers for 1 mana. So, but again, that's contingent upon actually getting 10 cards in the graveyard early. So I was able to do that this game. I got a good draw, so I felt comfortable throughout this whole game. Obviously, if I had stalled or I didn't get a good draw, could have been a different match. This doesn't really hurt me at all. Silent Arbiter is a great card. I love that card. But he can only tackle 1 creature, and I can block it next turn or whatnot, but he can't block my flyer right now, so it doesn't really impact me. I'm still able to get 5 damage through, so. And next turn he won't even be able to swing, because I have a 5/5 blocker. And now I know I'm really safe, because if he tries to kill one of my flyers, I can use a counter spell. So basically, I should have this game locked in the bag. If he decides to cast a worship out or anything of that nature, I can counter it. So this game is pretty much over at this point. There's really nothing he could draw or do to circumvent that fact. I really like this version of the Dream Puppets deck. Not a lot of mill in here, just a couple crabs, the Chancellor. This is actually a great card he's casting. Now only 1 creature can attack each time, and you'll see what this means, the Royal Assassin. He can destroy any tapped creature. So suppose I had a Royal Assassin right now, watch when he swings. So what that means is, I could use the Royal Assassin right now to kill his creature before it attacks. So when you get that on the board with the Silent Arbiter, that's an awesome combination right there. You basically lock the board down. can't swing it. I wouldn't be able to attack at all. So that was a good effort on his part. If I didn't have the counter spell, then this game would have went on a little bit longer, much longer, and actually could have been anybody's game. I mean, I couldn't attack right now. I'd have to either bump the card back to his hand, or I'd have to figure out some way around that. So, but I had a counter spell, so I was able to deal with that. But for those of you who play this deck from time to time, that is a good combination to run. I've actually been liking the rings in my Exalted deck lately because you can regenerate creatures. If you can get that creature out there with a ring on it, the assassin, and you can have enough mana to regenerate him every turn if he's destroyed, I mean, it can do some serious damage. And again, I got a very good draw. My first hand I had 5 land in it and an unsummon and I think a counter. Not a good hand at all to start with, too slow. But this hand I took one redraw, 1 mulligan, and I have a sword, I have a little card draw in there, I have a phantasm. So again, I was blessed this round with actually 2 good draws. Not like immaculate, but really good. I take this draw every game I played with this deck, so I'm going to start a mill, get a little card draw going rather than cast out the Phantasm. I suppose you could say why not cast a Phantasm so it could swing on turn 2. Probably a better bet. But either way, it's 1 point could decide the game, so future reference, maybe it's better to put the Phantasm out first and draw the card later. I know right here he's going for a worship. I can almost guarantee it, and it will turn out that he does. Demonic Tutor, so definitely grabbing a worship. Now I know he has a worship in his hand. I have to play like he has a worship in his hand. So basically I have to keep a counter spell handy. I don't want him getting a worship on the board, because then the only way I could actually kill him is with an Into the Royal. I'm basically looking at 2 cards in my whole deck that I'd have to draw top deck at some point to eliminate them. Now this deck does have 11 cards in it that give me card draw, so I could cycle through this deck pretty quickly, so it's not like it's game over. But I'd prefer to avoid that. So I'm going to get both of these out there now. And this is a bit of stall too. He might have a Doom Blade, might be able to kill one, but what it does is it prevents him from putting a creature down on the board if he does right now. So if he kills one of them, that's fine with me. It's stalling him for a turn, he can't do any damage. Because I'm basically trying to keep mana open once he gets up to 4 mana to counter that worship. So like right here, I can't play my sword. Under most normal circumstances, if he didn't call in that tutor, I'd be playing the sword right now. The next turn I'd try to equip it. Maybe he'd destroy target permanent in his turn, which is okay. You know, nothing I can do about that, but that's basically how it would go. Now I can't right now. He knows I'm leaving mana open too. He's assuming I got a counter spell. There's his 4th mana, so he could play that worship card. He doesn't, because he's worried about a counter spell. For me, rightly, I have 3 counters in this deck, and basically I've looked at like 11 cards, so there's a good 50-50 chance easily that I have a counter in my hand at this point. Turns out that I have 2 right now. Now this card basically saves the day for me, because now I don't have to worry about him casting his worship. I don't have to leave mana open anymore, because when I get him down to 1 life or whatever, I can just Into the Royal it and swing. So now the worship card actually works against him, because he's going to cast it this turn, and what does he do? He's basically losing a whole turn here, using 4 mana to cast that card, and it's really not helping him at all the whole game, because I'm just going to remove it when the time is right. So this actually works out really, really well for me. I got a good draw, pulled a good top deck there. And he casts it. Now this turn I get to equip my sword, and once it swings and attacks, I get a blocker, and both of my phantasms are going to be 5/5, and one will be a 5/7 because I got the sword on it. So again, that Into the Royal card basically changed my entire game plan around. It allowed me to do what I want instead of having to worry about countering him. So it was a good top draw. I wonder how the game would have played out if I didn't draw it. It certainly would have went on a lot longer. I would have got creatures out there, he would have got creatures out there, and basically it would have been who wins before, you know, can he beat me before I draw an Into the Royal or whatnot, or how many creatures he has out. It would have been an interesting game if I didn't draw that. A much more interesting game. But at this point, the game's pretty much over. Simply for the fact that I have 2 potent flyers out there. 2 counter spells in my hand, and an Into the Royal. So I have all the board presence, and I could basically counter pretty much anything he can do at this point. So I'm not too worried. And as you get to see my Dream Puppets deck in action, finally, I've been recording a lot of the tournament games, but for some reason they haven't been saving properly. And I tried like 3 other rounds, and I wasn't able to save any of the games, but finally this one looks like it's working. So unfortunately, a little of the screen looks like it's cut off. I don't know if that's in iMovie or if that's it itself, but either way, he's debating a long time what he wants to do here. And I believe he calls out a Divinity of Pride, which would save him another turn, just for the simple fact that even though my 5/5 would kill it, he gains 4 life in the process. So it's, or my 7/7 would kill it. He gains 4 life, and I would only do 5 damage. So it would save him a round or 2 if he assumes I have the Into the Royal. He's not sure what to do at this point. I think he's wondering what I got. Why did I use my mana? Why did I let him get his worship out? He might think, he might even know I have an Into the Royal, so he's probably trying to play against that, which is what makes these tournament games interesting, because you have better quality players. You know, you have to kind of, it's not like playing a random iPad 80 card deck user. You have to think, what are they doing, and why is he doing this, and you're trying to get inside their head and think of what they're thinking. So it's what makes the games enjoyable. And now, pretty much, he has 1 mana open. There's nothing he can do with that deck, so I'm going to kick his worship and swing with the flyers. Exactly 12 damage. And that ends the game. So I'm going to keep recording these tournaments. I freed up some memory on the computer, and so basically I should be able to, without any hiccups now, record all the rest of the iPad tournament games I play in. Like I said, I recorded a few, but they just didn't work for whatever reason. Not enough memory on the computer, not enough hard drive space. At any rate, everything looks to be going good now. I cleaned up the iPad a little bit, so. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. This is the Dream Puppets deck in action. See you guys around.